Good. All right. Good morning. So we started off this morning, had a good team meeting, outlined the keys to victory. Each coordinator gets up and talks about 3 or 4 items that we need to accomplish during the game for this week. And it was a good meeting with the guys. Then we hold off into our meetings, and the guys are really detailed and focused on getting the first and second down plan in today for Tampa Bay. A lot of different circumstances right here with our opponent, like it is every week. They got some good skill players on offense for sure. The defense has been together a while. Created blitzed a lot of last week, and so that's a situation that we're working on offense. Special teams guys, they got a good returner. So there's a lot of set of circumstances that we need to accomplish, in terms of how we go about our business this week to be successful. And that's the biggest item right there we're working on. So guys are looking at themselves and working on their fundamentals and details of their positions with their coaches. We'll do that during individual, and then we'll have a good first and second down. So we have good first and second down run efficiency for practice today. So that's that. In terms of the injury, for Kyler, don't expect him to practice today. We all know it's his hand, and I don't have anything more than that right now. So that's where that is right there. And with that, I will open up to questions.
Is he avoided the IR?
Like I said, we don't have anything more at this time. Not enough information yet.
If Josh Blackwell is the guy who's got to play on Sunday, how important was last season the playing time for him for you to feel comfortable on him moving forward?
Yeah, we're just looking at all of our options, but in terms of with Blackwell himself, in terms of the comment about last year, it's invaluable, right? To be able to be out there and know the position. As we said before, there's a lot of detail to the position, that nickel spot, and he's done a good job in there. He's been a good special teamer for us, and if we go that route, he'll do a nice job.
Terrell Smith be another, or who are those other options if not John?
Yeah, I'm not going to divulge the other options right now, but we certainly like what we have.
When you went back to the tape, what was your evaluation of Chase's effort, especially in the screen blocking game and the run blocking game?
Yeah, we already visited about that. I think it was maybe Sunday after the game or Monday it was, but again, you guys all saw the plays, and again, the perimeter blocking needed to improve for all of us, and we're going to work hard to get that done.
Matt, with Chase Claypool specifically with the blocking, is that reflective of an inability to block or of poor effort blocking?
I would just say everything comes down to technique. It's about technique, and it's really about when you're blocking the perimeter like that, you have to have good technique, right? And he's displayed good technique in practice on that, and that's why we had him in those positions. But perimeter blocking is all about technique. It's all about your angles, and it's all about your intensity for sure. And it's always about that. And it doesn't matter if you're push cracking on a linebacker or cracking down on somebody inside. That's what it's always about.
You had St. Brown inactive. He's known as a very good blocking wide receiver. Is it possible that Claypool would be inactive this week?
So we're looking at all possibilities right now. I'm not going to talk about who's going to be up and down for the game right now, for obvious reasons. But we're looking at all things to make our team better. Who's going to be up, who's going to be down in terms of the active roster.
Last thing on that, Claypool went to injury tent, I think, twice. Was injury a factor in how he played Sunday, or did you think he was fine physically?
There was no injury reported.
Matt, you talked Monday about the desire to get Justin activated a little bit more in scramble drill opportunities. What's your coaching directive to him on kind of balancing when to scramble and run and when to scramble and run?
Yeah, I would just say opportunity, right? You got to look for the opportunity, and then if it's not there, then you go. If it is there, then you take your shot. So that's just really it. And then when do you do that in practice? You do it when it's there. You can certainly do drills for that, but the best thing to do is when it's there. In team periods, right? And we've done it a couple times in 7-on-7. That's been pretty helpful to do that as well. But we'll continue to work on that.
Was there an example from Sunday that you'd illuminate as a prime? Like, look at this one. This is where there was an opportunity.
Yeah, there was a good opportunity, I think, a couple times. I don't know the play numbers, but there was a couple opportunities there that we had that we could have done that. And we all looked at the tape, but there's not always going to be the case. We're always going to have opportunities on the field we're going to take our peek down there, and if it's there, we're going to take the opportunity.
Matt,
You
with,
guys
with
are talking-
DJ, those 2 catches that he had, the play right after when it's like 1st and 8, like he comes off the field. What happened there?
I don't know. I don't know if it was rotation or, I don't know what it was. He just had a big play. And I think he needed the breather. You have to ask him because I know there's a lot of people on him at that time. He broke through a bunch of tackles and, had 2 big plays in a row. So maybe needed to blow. Maybe it was rotation. I'm not sure on that.
You guys talked about being, physical running team, and you were for much of last season.
Mhm.
Thought you struggled on 1st and 10 runs against Green Bay. Was it a little something different that was wrong on each play, or when you guys kind of dove into that, what was the issue?
Yeah, we look at first down efficiency on both sides of the ball. You got to be good on first down. And, I would just say that it comes down to the individual play, what the play design is. It was good, and we got to do a good job of executing the play. Blocking the point of attack is always there, in terms of if it's a perimeter play. We saw some of those things when it was good and was not so good. And then that's always going to be the case. It's about each guy doing his job and doing it physical when it comes to the run game. So that's the line, that's the runners, tight ends, and then the perimeter blocking.
Matt, just to clarify on Gordon, the doctors examined his hand on Monday and they don't know what the issue is, or they do and you just don't want to say what it is?
Yeah, I'm just going to say we don't expect him to practice today, and it's his hand. We know that. So I don't have any more information than that.
Matt, what's the balance going to be like for Justin in getting DJ more involved, but not forcing the ball his way? How does a quarterback have to teeter that line?
Yeah, you have play design, right? And you have reads, right? And the DJ may be the number 1 read, but if that read's taken away, you got to move to the next progression, right? So you can't, there's other plays that are plays designed that, you're catching and throwing to people right away. But when you're moving the ball down the field, okay, and doing the progression of that, you got to go through your progression. And he might be the number 1 progression. If it's there, boom. If it's not, then you got to progress through your reads.
Matt, there was a conversation on the broadcast about midway through the 3rd quarter about your sideline feeling kind of dead when the defense was out there and the offense was on the bench. Were you happy with the energy level the offense showed? And I'm asking just because of this. During training camp, Justin and the offense talked about needing to kind of manufacture some juice when they're struggling, and that appeared to help them kind of in the short term.
Yeah, energy really comes down to, what does it come down to? It comes down to executing, right? You get energy from execution. Does that make sense? So execute at a high level, get a lot of energy, right? In defense, big hits and takeaways, that's execution. That's what it takes, right? Big runs, chunk plays, right? That creates energy, right? So we're always going to be positive, upbeat, and those are the guys that are in the locker room. The guys in the locker room have great attitudes. They have, great motivation. That's why they're in the seats they are, right? They're all tough, right? So we got to make sure that if we execute, right, we're going to have great energy, right? Because it's play after play after play. Is their team going to make a play? Yeah, you got to reset and then go execute, and that's where that energy comes from.
How do you feel about bringing more pressure to try to get to Baker Mayfield? You guys didn't get to Jordan Love nearly enough, and I know you're multiple, but a lot of teams in that Tampa 2 family tree like to rush with 4 and cover with 7. Like philosophically, do you guys have to consider moving off of that thinking a little bit?
Yeah, I think week to week we do what we think is the best, to affect the quarterback, and that certainly could be the case this week. And we'll see where it goes. But I do know that affecting the quarterback is the process that we want to get done. I don't think we did it well enough last week, and going forward we need to get that done.
Matt, after watching the tape on the Justin Fields sack by Lucas Van Ness, I know you talked about him throwing the ball away, but ideally, what is that play supposed to look like when it's all executed properly?
Yeah, so that was an option, be able to hand it off, okay, or pull it and then have that read on the outside. And then once we're in that situation where he did pull it and the read on the outside is covered, and you just got to throw it out. He knows that. We talked about it. I think we talked about that Monday maybe.
You spoke about wanting to get more shots downfield. Is that a schematic thing or is that an execution thing on the field?
I don't think it's a schematic thing. I just think it's, when you're taking your shot down the field on a 50-50 ball, you got to let it ride, and if the guy's really high on top of the guy, which I think was the case a couple times, So then it's just the discernment of the quarterback. If he's real high on him, then you just go ahead and go to your next read, right? But we certainly have some guys that can get some 50-50 balls. So if you feel that feel good about where the location is of the corner, we're going to go up and send it up.
Do you have to encourage
you're preaching?
two more? Go ahead.
Okay, is that something you're preaching to Justin Fields this week? Looking for those shots downfield more?
Yeah, that's just all part of the read. When we're talking about taking shots down the field, that's just how you read it, and we're always coaching that.
How much is that anticipating where the
That's one.
receiver's gonna be and maybe him hesitating a bit and throwing not an anticipation, or is it that not an issue at all?
It's the rhythm and timing of the passing game is what we're searching for, right? And it's the receivers, right? It's the quarterback, right? It's the line and protection, right? To be able to have that rhythm and timing of the passing game. So it's all involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Matt Eberflus, head coach of the Chicago Bears, with not a lot of answers. Ton of questions still to go. Not a lot of answers. Basically didn't say anything there. I mean, like, we're the number one thing that will piss me off is when you give me Bill Belichick coach speak without showing me that level of competency on the field. There's no excuse for that game plan. After watching, I'm gonna tell you this right now. Pat the designer here with you guys on ESPN Chicago. No call in today. Comment in on the YouTube section. I'm sorry, I had to jump straight into that. Comment in on the YouTube section. I will be reading comments live on the air as well. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. Listen. I rewatched that tape. And when I tell you that the only thing that came out of that tape is that it was actually worse than what I thought it was, that's all I had to say. Nate Davis was atrocious.
With all the
Jason
left back
was worse than I
thought. Nod at you a little bit that you wanted back.
That kind of what?
We got Justin Fields here now. Let's go back.
I mean, I feel like, after a game, there's always a number of plays that you wish you would have had back. So, you're never going to get perfect quarterback play, but, you go back and really at any position, you want to do better on this play or do something different that you wish you would have did different, especially if it doesn't come out your way at the end of the day. So, a lot of stuff to learn from and a lot of stuff to get better from. Sure.
As you look back, are there any moments where you say, I wish I was a little bit more aggressive here, or I wish I, put the ball out there to give my guy a chance? Just take more shots yourself.
Yeah, for sure. That's one thing I talked to Luke and Coach about is just, I felt like I was a little bit too conservative at times during the game. So, definitely with, guys like DJ and chasing the outside, if, we do have one-on-one on the outside, potentially throwing it up and, seeing what happens. So, with them, they're great playmakers and, they can, most likely come up with a 50-50 ball. So definitely, want to give them, more chances deep down the field.
Why do you think you were?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
At this point,
You've been a vocal supporter of Chase Claypool throughout training camp. What do you do this week to kind of get him back on track after his game on Sunday?
Just keep going at it. And I think the biggest thing is, just having that same mentality as you did in camp and just keep working hard every day and, just keep going. Of course, he probably didn't have the game he wanted to have. Probably wanted to have more catches and, we all probably didn't have the game that we wanted to have, but, just keep working, keep getting better. And I think that's the theme of this week. The theme of today is, work towards 1-0 on Saturday or Sunday and, just get ready to play.
at this point in your career, how involved are you in terms of the game plan during the week leading up to a game?
Pretty involved, of course, they put the plays in, and then, I communicate with Luke and Andrew on what plays I'm comfortable with, what plays I like and dislike, and, the answers to different coverages and stuff like that. So I'm pretty involved with it.
What about freedom to adjust things at the line of scrimmage or as players come in, even to your headset?
You said what?
What about your freedom? Do you have much freedom to adjust as players come in, either into your headset or at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I would say so, especially once if we get certain looks on the defensive side of the ball. If we get, they present us something to where, we talked about it earlier in the week to, change something up or stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you gotta have trust in your OC to, call the right plays. And, if the defense gives you something that you weren't expecting, just, work off of that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna go to the line of scrimmage and change up the whole play when, we talked about it. We talked about why we're running the play in a certain situation. So, I'm gonna read it out and, if it's there, it's there. If it's not, then I just work through my progression and, make a play.
Justin, Flus has talked about the desire to kind of activate some more scramble throwing opportunities as opposed to scramble and running. What do you see on Sunday in terms of opportunities that were there or where you need to go next step to kind of activate that part of it?
I think there was one to DJ that I scrambled to the right later in the game. He was running across the field. I think that was one to him. But other than that, I don't think there were any more. I know you talked about maybe on the blitz to Jair, like stuff like that. When it's a single blitz, you don't know where the defender is behind you. He's a fast guy. He's still on his feet. So the last thing you want is you looking downfield and a guy chasing you, from behind, and then he gets a sack fumble. So that's the last thing you want in that situation. So, you just pick and choose, and it's kind of an instinct thing to where, you want to always escape the dead zone, always want to get away from the defenders and, make sure you're clean from the backside. And, of course, if you have time to extend the play, make a throw downfield, and that's what you do. So, yeah.
Justin, St. Brown played pretty much every game last season, so you have a lot of familiarity with him. What did you miss by not having him in against Green Bay?
He's a great run blocker for us. He always has been since last year. And he knows the playbook like the back of his hand. He's really smart. And I think he's a leader in the receiver room. So just that part, perimeter blocking, he's really good at that. So I think that's probably one thing that we missed. But yeah, I mean, I don't really make those calls, so not really a question.
His blocking is always, it's funny that you brought that up first because that's always the first thing people say about him. But what does he give you as a pass catcher? What does he contribute in that area?
Yeah, I mean, he's savvy. Knows how to change directions pretty good. Quality hands, and like I said, he's always gonna be on time with the quarterback. He's gonna run the right route at the right depth, and be at the right place at the right time. So I mean, you just get dependability on him, and he's very reliable in the pass game.
Justin, during training camp, we had talked to you about trying to kind of manufacture some energy in ones versus ones situation where, the defense was talking and the offense was quiet.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the energy on Sunday? And how do you evaluate it knowing that, there were some shots of a quiet sideline in the third quarter, but you're down 24 points or whatever too? Like, is it human nature maybe
to be down like that on the sideline? I mean, I think for me it's a little bit different because when I come back on the sideline, I'm going over the pictures. I'm going over talking to Luke, talking to Andrew on, what plays we have coming up next. So I don't necessarily get to watch the defense as much, when they're up. But of course, when I do talk to Jaquan about this, we do need to have, more energy. And that's on both sides. When we're up, we need to get, each other going. We need to be on the sideline, getting the defense rallied up and getting them, more juiced up. So, I think that's a thing that, both sides can do better for each other and just create more energy for sure.
We were talking with Flus about DJ from the Sunday game, and he said that we want to get the ball to our skill. Are there situations that for you where you feel like you might just need to be conscious of doesn't look open, it might not be the best case, but I've got to force the ball that way? Or do you have to balance against that?
Not really. I would say you can do that if it's like one-on-one matchups on the outside and, just one-on-one. But I mean, you never want to force it with, multiple defenders around them. But definitely one-on-one is outside, safety's in the middle of the field. Can definitely throw it up for sure.
Justin, what have been your overall impressions of Roschon? And then on top of that, how do you feel he handled his first NFL game on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I think since day one, he's kind of a grown man, to be honest with you. Like he's handled himself as a grown man. He's came in here and worked. He's always one of the last people off the field every day after practice. Every time we need to throw extra, he's always right there to catch. And this first game we asked him to do a lot from a lot of different positions. Running back, of course. He was lined up as receivers a couple of times, and I mean he handled it very well. So definitely proud of him for doing that. For getting so much put on his plate and the way he handled it. So I'm just excited for him and his future and what he's going to be able to do for us in this team.
How big of an asset can he be this week? Just knowing how much Tampa Bay blitzes.
He can be a good asset, like you said. He's like I said, he's smart. He's a reliable player. Whatever we ask him to do, he's going to do it with no hesitation. So yeah.
Were you surprised by the amount of zone they played against you? And
Green Bay?
Yeah. And what effect did the zone have? Did it have any effect on you're saying, I was a little too conservative?
I wasn't surprised. I mean, they rarely play man. I think the only time I saw really man last year was the first time we played them, and then the second game we played them. I mean, they're not really much of a man team, to be honest with you. And what was the second part of your question?
When you talk about being too conservative, is it easier to just let it go when you got man coverage somewhere versus when there's a zone?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, like you said, you're getting those one-on-one matchups, and that's how Green Bay's defense is built. Their defense is built for a lead to where they make the quarterback take those checkdowns, make you drive down the field, and that's probably how most defenses are built nowadays in the NFL. They want to protect against explosives, take away the deep plays and stuff like that. So of course we want to be able to take calculated shots throughout the game, and when we call those plays, just got to take them up and throw it up there, and the receiver might have to make a contested catch and make a big play. But I mean, yeah, their defense is built for that to make you slowly drive down the field. So yeah.
Thank you.
That was our quarterback, QB1 of the Chicago Bears. I'm Pat the Designer, host of the Chicago Bears podcast. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Going to be live reacting here. Again, send in your comments into the comment section. We don't have the phones up today, but we will be live reacting to basically what we just heard and, getting an opportunity to watch tape. The one thing that I will give Flus that he said is that he knows that we're watching the tape. He knows that we're sitting here tuned in to every second of everything that's happening with this Chicago Bears team. We're not sitting here waiting for you to tell us what we can already see. So let me point out some things that we already saw. When I watched this tape, Chase Claypool was worse than I thought. Cole Kmet was almost just as bad, just a little bit under that. Nate Davis was 200% times worse than I thought. I'm actually pretty sure I thought he was bad, and bad would have been a compliment to him. Allen Williams' defense had all the creativity of a stone. Justin Jones has zero ability to win any one-on-one matchup that he saw the other day. Roschon's pretty much the lead back. Justin did miss shots downfield, as we heard our QB1 talk about there, but that was the least of the things that was concerning to me on Sunday. Of course, the offensive line play was bad. This team was 110% unprepared. The amount of MAs, the amount of play breakdowns, the staff shouldn't get paid for what we saw on Sunday. That's how bad it was after watching the tape, and it only continues to get worse. Every time I watch it, I find something else that I think there's literally a play, the Lucas Van Ness play, right, where Flus is talking about with Justin. It's an RPO, fakes the handoff, he pulls it out of there. There's one read. Justin does have to throw that ball away. But when I tell you, I have been trying to figure out literally for an hour and a half who the hot route is on this play. I believe it is Mooney, but he never comes open. There was no design that ever had him in a position that looked like he might actually be able to open up. I am very, very confused at what we saw in the game plan on Sunday. And I am very disappointed that we didn't hear more questions peppering about this game plan. I don't care if you're going to get answers or not. I'm asking questions until somebody's pissed off, because I'm pissed off at the fact that this game plan was so inept. It looked like you basically did not have an identity on the field. Nothing that we saw on Sunday I hope to see in the game that happens this coming Sunday. So many question marks, so much bad. I mean, like, literally, I sit here with you guys. Listen, I know, right, I'm covering the team. I talk about the team. Of course, we're the home of the Chicago Bears here, but I'm a fan right with you. I'm a fan right with you. And that was absolutely unacceptable, what we saw on the field today. And I'm glad that Flus understands that we're also watching the tape, that we're not just dumb fans out here like what you get up north a lot of times. We're serious about what we saw from our team. What we saw from our team was an absolute disgrace. Hit the like button if you agree. There needs to be things that there needs to be a real focus heading into this Tampa Bay Buccaneers game on what your principles are. Because it seems to me that you do have this hits principle philosophy, right? This is supposed to be the philosophy. And yet I don't see any of the players that we saw on Sunday exhibiting anything from that philosophy. I don't see any of the players that we saw on Sunday, and I didn't see any of the coaches that we saw on Sunday exhibiting any of the traits that are supposed to be from that philosophy. I've got so many question marks on everyone on this team. Some of the guys that stand out, I mean, of course, listen, here's the main thing about this hits principle. What's Nate Davis doing out there? Why is Nate Davis basically just a human turnstile? I'm sorry. I didn't realize that we had re-signed Jermaine Ifedi. I didn't realize that the only thing from Sunday that made me feel like, okay, these guys might actually have something is the fact that the offensive line stood up for Justin Fields when he took a shot, even though it was a legal shot. That's the only thing. You got to do that. You have to be 210% better next week just to get to bad. I was so mad watching that tape last night because here's the thing, right? After the game, when we're talking and we're sitting here asking these questions about, oh, what happened? How did this go down? You want to sit there and talk to us as if we don't know what's going on, as if, right, we can't see with our own two eyes that was bad and that it wasn't as bad as we think. We got to review the tape. Like, no, it was horrible. The fact that we got 20 points out of it is actually impressive. The fact that we got 20 points out of that game is actually impressive. Andy Spencer is, my thing is, tell me, what do you see? What do you see that leads you to believe they will have a game plan for Tampa Bay? Screens, Nagy curls. I believe, I'm believing based off of what we saw last season, right? And maybe that's naive of me. But last season, I saw a team that learned how to adjust from games. Last season, I saw a team that learned how to adjust at halves, that was able to learn from their mistakes. I do think that there's something to be said about a lot of the football that we saw on Sunday. The Chicago Bears were not the worst football that we saw played on Sunday. The New York Giants still exist. And there were just a ton of teams that looked unprepared. I do believe that that is a thing. But guess what? That's on the coaching staff. That is on Matt Eberflus. That is on Alan Williams. That is on Luke Getsy. You have to be prepared. That's just, there were so many times last season where we looked at this team and we said, wow, I could kind of see where they're going with this because, okay, you don't have the talent, but I see that the coaching staff seems like they're prepared. They have this figured out. They understand what the next step is. I didn't see any of that on Sunday. And that's on the staff. That comes down to the staff, and there's no answers for what we saw. You have to just turn the page now. You have to figure out what the next game plan is. Like there's I thought, you know how you go look at the tape and there's supposed to be this explanation? I was more confused. I was trying to figure out exactly which system Luke Getsy's supposed to be running. Because it didn't look like one that the Chicago Bears ran last season with less talent. Another concern that I do have coming out of this, and by the way, this is today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. We want to let you guys know that the podcast is brought to you by the Hard Rock Casino in Northern Indiana. You can see Sticks on October 13th at Hard Rock Live. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Another thing that I do want to talk about is Justin Fields kind of saying basically, you know, you don't want to force it in there if there are two guys over him. If he's one-on-one on the outside, okay, let's go here. But you got to you don't want to force those shots in there. You don't want to force the ball to DJ Moore. Joe Burrow said something last season that I think is very key to where this Chicago Bears team kind of has to, I mean, like when you have a number one option, you just have to do it, right? And Jay Cutler did this with Brandon Marshall, right? Like this is just what happens when you have those number one options. Sometimes you just got to say, F it, he's down there somewhere. Now, you have to draw those plays up. It doesn't take away from the fact that there's pressure in Justin's face. Doesn't take away from the fact that a lot of the play designs seem very confusing. But the fact that Justin Fields speaks as if on a lot of these closer passes, a lot of the intermediate stuff, as if you got to play this game so safe that you just got to go down the field and get the ball in there when the guy's wide open. That's game manager mentality. That's not the quarterback that I thought I was getting. Now, if you're going to be a game manager and you're going to give me 1,000 yards a season, right? Like all of a sudden, I'm here for you. Okay, we're dinking and dunking down the field. Got to say that right. Y'all saw the podcast. I messed that up the last time. We're dinking and dunking down the field, and you know every now and then Justin Fields can hit you with a big play. Okay, I can live with that if that's who you're supposed to be. But that's not what I was getting advertised with a DJ Moore being on my team. I'm not looking for the game manager. Heck, I'm looking for at least a Kirk Cousins here. Even Kirk Cousins got to the point with Justin Jefferson where he said, you know what, this guy's pretty good. Maybe I should just throw the ball down there somewhere. You have to trust what even if you don't trust the system, you have to trust what your players on the field can do. And DJ Moore can do a lot. You threw the football to him 2 times, and both times he turned what should have been a nothing play into a very big something play. You just have to trust him in those moments. You cannot sit here and tell me that, okay, I can't put this ball on DJ Moore because he's double covered. Guess what? DJ Moore is going to be double covered the entire season. He's a top 20 receiver in the NFL. You think they're just going to leave him out there in single coverage, especially with the performances that we saw from a Chase Claypool out there, especially with the performances that we saw from, I mean, basically nobody else on the wide receiving core existed on Sunday, right? Darnell Mooney got himself in there, but that was just because of a lack of targets to DJ. The double teams are going to be there. No matter what. No matter what, he's going to be double teamed. You have to find a way to get him the football or at least look to target him. 2 targets is unacceptable. 2 targets is unacceptable. 24K Chase said, Khalil Herbert, what's up with bro? He's not a number 1 back. I told you guys this a long time. Roschon Johnson is coming in here to be the number 1 back, and that's the answer. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Roschon Johnson is coming in here to be your number 1 back. That's your answer. But Pat, Roschon's a rookie. Why did Roschon, when you look at the tape, Roschon is out there on 3rd and 4th down more than anybody else, more than Deontay Foreman, more than Khalil Herbert. Roschon Johnson, there's one play where Justin rolls around, instantly gets sacked. I mean, it's a rollout to the left, instantly gets sacked. All of a sudden, Roschon Johnson is your 3-down back. I thought it would take till game 3. Apparently, it took till 3 quarters into the season. But I'm not surprised by it. I'm not shocked by it. I think that it's the right answer. Roschon Johnson's a better player. You saw it the second the ball touched his hand. Roschon Johnson was a better player than what they had on the field. You put your best players out there. That's how football works. So I wasn't shocked by that in the slightest. I was actually glad to see it. It's one of the few adjustments that I saw this team make that I actually agreed with. One of the few. Sunday was absolutely unacceptable for a fan base that came out and showed support, and you were expecting so much. And it's not even that we were expecting so much, it's that you told us this was coming. Justin Jones, Justin Fields, DJ Moore, these guys told us, Jaquan Brisker, you told us what was coming. I didn't build these expectations, you did. And none of that showed up last Sunday. It's just, it was a performance that, like I said, you have to just turn the page on. Wednesday's here. We're going to see practice. Biggest update that I think we got, Kyler Gordon will not be out there practicing today, dealing with the hand injury. Basically said he doesn't know if Flus is always going to be ambiguous with the injury report, right? He has no idea if he's healthy or not. I don't know if it's a hand or not. We haven't gotten it back yet. We don't know what the report is. Like he's always going to be that guy. But losing Kyler Gordon is a blow to your team, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the end all be all right now with Josh Blackwell in there. And it matters none if the pressure that we saw on Sunday continues coming into this week. Baker Mayfield will look like a god versus the pressure that we saw. Alan Williams' creativity on the defensive side of the ball. My God, I thought Luke Getsy was bad. Alan Williams, you're right up there with him. The thing is, we want to focus on the offensive side. I can't focus on the offensive side when you gave up 38 points to Jordan Love and just looked completely inept. What the heck happened in that second half of the game, right? Like, I literally left that second half just stunned. I watched the tape last night. Again, it just got worse. Justin Jones, zero ability to win a one-on-one. DeMarcus Walker basically was non-existent in that game. You saw some okay play from your rookies, but they're rookies. I'm not expecting them to set the world on fire week one. Let them develop. Let them figure it out. I thought Zach Pickens actually had a couple of plays where he actually got some nice movement to get into the backfield. But, here's the difference in the Bears and Green Bay. Here's the biggest difference that I saw watching that game. When the defensive line was pressuring Jordan Love, that ball was out like that. Jordan Love, quick, set, drop back, boom, nowhere to go. I got it. I'm in there. Boom, done. With Justin, right, the pressure's immediately in his face, and he doesn't have that option to go to. Or when he did, he went to the check down. He went to the check down a ton because any of the deep routes aren't there. The thing that people are pointing out to me, which I think is the biggest, it's not laughable. It is 100%, right? Like, listen, he missed some shots down the field on some guys he could have got. He had Chase Claypool going down the right side one-on-one. I'd like to see him take that shot, had a little bit of protection. He had one where he took the underneath where he absolutely could have hit DJ Moore coming across the middle. Would have liked to see him take that shot. He took the underneath. It still ends up going for a first down. But realistically, if we're being 110% honest, the few misses that Justin Fields had downfield are only magnified because every time he had to take the check down, or a good chunk of the times where he had to take the check down, I'm not going to say every time, we're talking about him with a guy breathing down his neck right here. A lot of the passes that a lot of people are pointing out where he missed this guy downfield is because he's already getting ready to take off and run. Should he keep his eyes up and keep his eyes downfield? 100%. But this pressure's following him all day. That's going to get to you. Again, pressured on 42% of his dropbacks, according to ESPN stats and info. There's going to come a point where this guy's just like, all right, I got to get up out of here. You got to figure out, Simo, what's going on with that? What's going on with the blocking scheme? There's no way that you didn't have something prepared for Sunday, knowing going in, hey, these guys haven't played together. By the way, another name that I guess if you're a Flus or not a Flus, a Poles detractor, you don't think that he's done a very good job here. Lucas Patrick was horrible. Lucas Patrick was god-awful. He wasn't Nate Davis bad. But Lucas Patrick was putrid on Sunday as well. I will say this. If there's any bright spot, and it's a small bright spot, Braxton Jones, I thought, did a pretty good job on the left side, moving guys past Justin Fields. I hated the false starts, but I think that that's first game jitters. He was a guy who pretty much, for the most part, was penalty-free last season. I don't think that that's something that will keep him that will continue to plague him throughout the season. At least I hope not. He was a pretty penalty-free guy last season, but Braxton Jones did a good job getting the rush past Justin. Cody Whitehair, pretty bad. And here's the thing. We don't know anything until we see week 2. Week 2 is just like, is it a confirmation or was what we saw in week 1 a fluke? Because you invested a lot in this offensive line, and there's guys on here that just look like they have no idea what's going on. I thought Darnell Wright was he looked like a rookie, right? He looked like a rookie. For the most part, that's all I could say about Darnell Wright. I mean, dog, we're heading into week 2. I'm like, what, can Dan Kiefer play center? Like, that's really what we're heading towards here, bro? Like, I don't know. Listen, I appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with me over here, reacting to the press conference. Hit that like button if you have not done so. We will do this every Wednesday. Normally, J-Mac will be on with me reacting to this as well. But we just want to thank you guys for showing support to the Chicago Bears podcast. Thank you guys for showing support to ESPN 1000. We'll be back tomorrow for another podcast with Courtney Cronin on Thursday. I will see her live at Hallis, so that'll be pretty cool to do. As always, man, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. One love, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.